In the distant future, humanity no longer lived on Earth. The planet had become a barren wasteland, its skies choked with ash, and its oceans turned to lifeless deserts of salt. Centuries of greed, war, and neglect had rendered it uninhabitable. But humans did not give up easily. They built massive space stations orbiting their dying home, places where they could live, work, and dream of better days. These stations were marvels of engineering, self-sustaining cities floating in the cold void of space. One such station was called Solace 7. It housed millions of people, each living under strict rules enforced by an organization known as the Galactic Council. This council was made up of 12 members who governed every aspect of life aboard the station. Among them was Jae-hyun, a man who believed that humanity's survival depended on discipline and sacrifice. He was tall, with sharp features and piercing eyes that seemed to see through anyone who dared question him. His words carried weight, and his decisions often went unchallenged. Opposite Jae-hyun sat Soo-jin, another member of the council. She was younger than most of her peers, with a calm demeanor and a quiet strength that earned her respect from some, but disdain from others. Unlike Jae-hyun, Soo-jin valued compassion over control. She often argued for policies that prioritized the well-being of ordinary citizens rather than the council's rigid plans for progress. Her voice was soft but firm, like the steady hum of machinery keeping the station alive. Life aboard Solace 7 followed a predictable rhythm. People woke up, worked their assigned jobs, ate pre-packaged meals, and slept in small, identical quarters. Everything was monitored and regulated, from air quality to water consumption. There was little room for creativity or individuality. Yet somehow, humanity endured, or so it seemed. Then came the day everything changed. It started with a signal, a faint transmission picked up by one of the station's long-range communication arrays. At first, technicians dismissed it as interference or a glitch. Signals from Earth were rare these days, usually just echoes of old broadcasts bouncing around the solar system. But this one was different. It repeated itself over and over again, clear enough to decipher. And what it said sent shivers down everyone's spines. "Humans," the message began, "you have wandered far from your roots. Return to Earth, and you will find salvation. Leave behind your machines, your comforts, and your pride. Only then can you heal." The council convened immediately to discuss the strange transmission. Some laughed it off as a prank or a malfunction. Others whispered about alien interference or rogue AI trying to lure them into a trap. Jae-hyun, however, remained silent for a long time, his brow furrowed in thought. When he finally spoke, his tone was dismissive. "This is nonsense," he declared. "Earth is dead. We cannot return. To suggest otherwise is dangerous and irresponsible." Soo-jin disagreed. "We should investigate," she said. "Why would someone send this message? Who is behind it? Ignoring it won't make it go away." But Jae-hyun refused to entertain the idea. He insisted that focusing on Earth would distract them from maintaining order aboard the station. The matter was settled, or so it seemed. Days passed, and strange reports began trickling in. Entire families disappeared overnight, leaving behind their belongings and responsibilities. Surveillance footage showed groups of people walking silently toward airlocks, boarding shuttles without authorization, and descending to Earth without explanation. No one tried to stop them. They moved as if guided by an invisible force. The council grew alarmed. Young-seok, another member of the council, voiced his concerns during their next meeting. "This isn't just a few isolated cases," he said. "Thousands are leaving. What if they're right? What if there's something down there we don't understand?" Jae-hyun slammed his fist on the table. "Superstition," he snapped. "These people are abandoning their duties, their families, everything we've worked for. If we let this continue, our society will collapse." Soo-jin leaned forward, her expression troubled. "Maybe that's exactly why they're leaving," she said softly. "Think about it. Life here is controlled, predictable, sterile. What if Earth offers them something we can't provide? Hope, perhaps." Her words hung in the air, heavy and unresolved. For the first time, cracks appeared in the council's unity. While Jae-hyun doubled down on enforcing stricter measures to prevent defections, Soo-jin quietly began investigating the phenomenon herself. She interviewed those left behind, spouses, children, friends, and listened to their stories. "They dream of Earth," one woman told her, tears streaming down her face. "My husband said he could hear it calling to him, like a song only he could understand. He kissed me goodbye and walked away without looking back." Another man described how his sister vanished after claiming she saw visions of green fields and clean rivers. "She kept saying, 'It's waiting for us,'" he recalled. "I thought she was crazy, but now I wonder maybe she wasn't." As Soo-jin pieced together these accounts, a pattern emerged. Those who left weren't driven by fear or desperation. Instead, they acted with purpose, as though drawn by an irresistible pull. Some even claimed they felt happier, freer, than they ever had aboard the station. Meanwhile, Jae-hyun's response grew harsher. He ordered increased patrols around airlocks and shuttle bays, hoping to catch defectors before they escaped. Anyone caught attempting to leave faced severe punishment, imprisonment, loss of privileges, or worse, but none of this deterred the exodus. If anything, it accelerated. One evening, as Soo-jin reviewed her notes in her quarters, she received an urgent message from Mira, a scientist working in the station's research division. Mira had been analyzing the mysterious transmission and discovered something startling. It wasn't random noise or a simple broadcast. It contained fragments of code, hints of intelligence. "I think it's coming from Earth," Mira explained, when Soo-jin arrived at her lab. "And I don't mean natural phenomena. Someone, or something, is sending it deliberately." Soo-jin stared at the data scrolling across the screen, her mind racing. Could Earth really hold answers to humanity's plight? Was it possible that the planet they'd written off as dead still harbored secrets capable of changing their fate? Before she could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. A security breach had occurred near Docking Bay 12. Dozens of people were attempting to board unauthorized shuttles bound for Earth. Jae-hyun's voice crackled over the intercom, ordering guards to intercept them. Soo-jin hesitated, torn between duty and curiosity. Finally, she made her decision. Grabbing her coat, she hurried toward the bay, determined to witness the scene for herself. As she approached, she saw crowds of people gathered, their faces calm yet resolute. Soldiers shouted orders, weapons raised, but the defectors paid no attention. One by one, they stepped onto the shuttles, their movements synchronized as if choreographed. Among them was a young boy clutching a stuffed animal. His mother knelt beside him, whispering reassurances before kissing his forehead. Then, without a word, she stood and joined the line. Soo-jin watched, her heart aching, as the shuttle doors closed and the engines roared to life. For a moment, silence fell over the docking bay. The remaining soldiers lowered their weapons, unsure of what to do next. Even Jae-hyun, arriving moments later, seemed at a loss. His usual confidence wavered as he surveyed the empty hangar. "What have we done?" Soo-jin murmured, more to herself than anyone else. No one answered. The truth lingered unspoken, hanging in the air like smoke. Humanity had walked away in silence, leaving behind not just possessions but also trust, hope, and faith in the Council's leadership. And deep down, Soo-jin knew they would all pay the consequences. The mood aboard Solace 7 shifted after the mass exodus from Docking Bay 12. Tensions simmered just below the surface, threatening to boil over at any moment. The council chambers, once a place of order and deliberation, became a battleground for conflicting ideologies. Jae-hyun stood firm in his belief that humanity's survival depended on maintaining control, while others, like Soo-jin, questioned whether the council's rigid policies had driven people to abandon the station. Hyung-suk was one of those who began to doubt Jae-hyun's leadership. A middle-aged man with graying hair and weary eyes, he had always been cautious in his decisions, preferring compromise over conflict. But now, as reports of defections poured in daily, he found himself speaking out more boldly during council meetings. "We can't keep ignoring this," Hyung-suk said one day, his voice trembling slightly but resolute. "People aren't leaving because they're weak or foolish. They're leaving because they feel something we've forgotten. Hope. Hope that Earth might still offer them a chance to live differently, Jae-hyun shot him a sharp glare. Hope is meaningless. Without action, he snapped. These defectors are abandoning their responsibilities. They're selfish, running away from the hard work it takes to survive up here. If we let this continue, our entire society will collapse. Soo-jin listened quietly, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She wanted to agree with Hyung-seok, but she knew arguing directly with Jae-hyun would only make things worse. Instead, she decided to act behind the scenes. Over the next few days, she visited various parts of the station, talking to workers, scientists, and ordinary citizens. Many shared stories similar to what she had heard before, dreams of lush landscapes, whispers urging them toward Earth, an inexplicable longing they couldn't explain. One conversation stood out in particular. It was with a young woman named Yoon-ah, who worked in the hydroponics bay. Her hands were calloused from years of tending plants grown under artificial light. Yet her face lit up when she spoke about Earth. I dreamt of soil beneath my fingers, Yoon-ah confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. Real soil, not the synthetic stuff we use here, and rain. I could smell it, taste it. When I woke up, I felt empty, like part of me was missing. Soo-jin nodded, her heart heavy with understanding. She realized that the exodus wasn't just about escaping hardship. It was about reconnecting with something primal, something deeply human, something the council had long ignored. Meanwhile, Mira continued analyzing the mysterious transmission. Working late into the night, she pieced together fragments of data hidden within the signal. What she uncovered startled her. The message wasn't just a call. It contained patterns resembling ancient algorithms, remnants of technology far older than anything humanity currently used. It's almost like memories, Mira told Soo-jin during one of their secret meetings. Encoded recollections of Earth, its history, its cycles. Whoever or whatever is sending this knows us intimately. It understands our struggles, our mistakes, and maybe even our potential. Soo-jin frowned. Do you think it's alien? Or could it be some kind of AI left behind on Earth? Mira hesitated. I don't know. But I do know one thing. Whoever sent this wants us to listen. To remember. As word of Mira's findings spread cautiously among certain members of the council, divisions deepened. Some sided with Jae-hyun, insisting that focusing on Earth was a distraction they couldn't afford. Others, inspired by Soo-jin and Hyung-seok, argued for transparency and investigation. The council's meetings grew increasingly heated, accusations flying back and forth like weapons. You're jeopardizing everything we've built, Jae-hyun shouted during one particularly volatile session. His face was flushed with anger, his knuckles white as he gripped the edge of the table. If we start pandering to superstition, we'll lose all credibility. And if we ignore the truth, we'll lose the people, Hyung-seok shot back, his voice rising to match Jae-hyun's. You can't force loyalty through fear and punishment. Not forever. Soo-jin watched the exchange silently, her mind racing. She knew they needed proof, not just theories or testimonies, to sway the undecided members of the council. That's when she proposed an idea so bold it silenced the room. We should send a team to Earth, she said, her voice steady despite the weight of her suggestion. Let them investigate the source of the signal and report back. Only then can we make informed decisions. The reaction was immediate and divided. Some gasped in shock, others muttered disapproval, but Jae-hyun's response was swift and dismissive. Absolutely not, he said, shaking his head firmly. It's too dangerous. Besides, Earth is dead. There's nothing there worth risking lives for. But Soo-jin refused to back down. Then let me go, she said, meeting his gaze squarely. If you won't allow an official mission, I'll volunteer myself. I need to see this for myself. Her words hung in the air, daring anyone to challenge her. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Hyung-seok cleared his throat. I'll go too, he said, surprising everyone, including himself. If Soo-jin is willing to take the risk, then so am I. Reluctantly, Jae-hyun relented, but only partially. He agreed to authorize a small expedition, provided it included soldiers loyal to the council. Their task would be twofold: gather information and ensure the team returned safely. Failure to comply with these orders would result in severe consequences. The chosen team consisted of 4 individuals: Soo-jin, Hyung-seok, Mi-ra, whose expertise was deemed essential, and Ji-eun, a skilled pilot known for her cautious nature. Ji-eun had mixed feelings about joining the mission. She respected Soo-jin and admired her courage, but she also distrusted the motives behind the signal. Still, duty compelled her to accept. Preparations for the journey were swift but thorough. Supplies were packed, equipment checked, and protocols reviewed multiple times. As the launch date approached, whispers spread throughout the station. Some saw the mission as a beacon of hope, a sign that the Council was finally acknowledging the growing unrest. Others viewed it as a desperate attempt to regain control, a way to silence dissent by proving Earth was uninhabitable. On the morning of departure, a crowd gathered near the shuttle bay. Among them were family members, friends, and curious onlookers. The atmosphere was tense, filled with unspoken questions and lingering fears. As the team boarded the shuttle, Soo-jin paused to look back at the faces watching her. She felt a pang of guilt for leaving them behind, for venturing into the unknown, but also a flicker of determination. "If we succeed," she whispered to herself, "maybe we can bring them answers. Maybe we can bring them home." With that thought, she stepped inside the shuttle. Moments later, engines roared to life and the vessel ascended toward Earth, leaving Solace 7 and its fractured society far behind. The journey to Earth was long and quiet, filled with anticipation and unease. The shuttle cut through the vast emptiness of space, its engines humming softly as it descended toward the blue-green orb below. Inside, the team sat in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. Soo-jin stared out the window, her eyes fixed on the swirling clouds and jagged continents that had once been home to billions. Hyung-seok fidgeted nervously with his gloves, while Mi-ra reviewed data from the mysterious transmission one last time. Ji-eun, seated at the controls, focused intently on navigating the descent, her hands steady, but her mind racing. As they approached Earth's atmosphere, the shuttle shuddered slightly, a reminder of how hostile this planet had become. The air outside was thick with pollutants, and radiation levels were still dangerously high in many areas. Yet despite these warnings, the signal had come from somewhere within this desolate world, a beacon calling humanity back. When the shuttle finally touched down, the team stepped onto the surface for the first time. What greeted them was both haunting and beautiful. The landscape around them was a mix of devastation and renewal. Crumbling skyscrapers stood like broken teeth against the horizon, their windows shattered and walls overtaken by vines. Rivers flowed between ruins, carrying clear water instead of the toxic sludge that once choked them. Birds chirped faintly in the distance, their songs almost foreign after centuries of absence. "It's alive," Mi-ra murmured, her voice tinged with awe. She knelt to touch the soil, running it through her fingers. It wasn't the sterile dirt she'd grown plants in aboard Solace 7. This was real Earth, rich, damp, and teeming with life. Hyung-seok nodded slowly, taking in the scene. "I didn't think it could recover like this," he admitted. "It's like Earth has been healing itself." Ji-eun remained cautious, scanning the area with a handheld scanner. "Radiation levels are lower than expected," she reported. "But we should stay alert. We don't know what else is out here." Soo-jin took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their mission settle over her. "Let's move," she said firmly. "We need to find whoever, or whatever, is sending that signal." The team began exploring cautiously, following coordinates provided by Mi-ra based on the transmission's origin point. As they walked, they noticed signs of human activity. Abandoned settlements dotted the landscape, makeshift homes built from scavenged materials. Clothes hung on lines, drying in the breeze, and cooking fires smoldered nearby. But there were no people. Not yet. "Where is everyone?" Hyung-seok asked, his voice low. He felt uneasy, as though they were being watched. Before anyone could answer, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was an elderly man, his face weathered but kind. Behind him came others, young and old, men and women, all dressed in simple, clothing made from natural fibers. They moved silently, their expressions calm and curious. "You've come," the old man said simply, addressing Sujin directly. His voice was gentle but carried authority. Sujin stepped forward, unsure of how to respond. "Who are you?" she asked. "And why are you here?" The man smiled faintly. "We are settlers, those who listened to the voice and returned to Earth. It called us, promised us a new beginning. And here we are." "The voice?" Mira repeated, her brow furrowing. "What is it? Where does it come from?" The settlers exchanged glances, their smiles widening. "It knows us," one woman said softly. "It understands our pain, our mistakes. It guides us toward balance, with the land, with ourselves." Sujin pressed further. "Can you show us where it comes from? We need to understand. The old—" Man nodded. "Follow me." He led them deeper into the ruins, past crumbling buildings and overgrown streets. The air grew cooler as they entered a massive structure half buried in vegetation. Inside, sunlight filtered through cracks in the ceiling, illuminating strange machinery covered in moss and dust. At the center of the room stood a towering device, pulsing faintly with light. It looked ancient yet advanced, its design unlike anything the team had ever seen. "This is Gaia Prime," the old man explained. "It speaks to us, shows us the way. It says humanity can heal Earth and themselves if they choose to listen." Mira approached the machine cautiously, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. She ran scans, recording every detail. "It's some kind of AI," she whispered, her voice trembling with excitement. "But it's so much more than that. It's alive." As the team examined Gaia Prime, the settlers shared their experiences. They spoke of dreams where Earth called to them, urging them to leave the station and return. They described visions of green fields, clean rivers, and skies free of ash. Most importantly, they talked about peace, a sense of belonging they hadn't. "Felt aboard Solace 7? We don't fight anymore," one young woman said. "There's no need. The voice teaches us to share, to care for each other and the land." Hyung-sok listened intently, his earlier skepticism fading. He couldn't deny the harmony he saw among the settlers. Their lives were simple but fulfilling, guided by principles of cooperation rather than competition. For the first time in years, he felt hope, not just for himself, but for humanity. But not everyone was convinced. Ji-yeon remained guarded, her instincts telling her something wasn't right. "How do we know this isn't a trap?" she asked Sujin privately. "What if this voice is manipulating them? What if it wants to control us, too?" Sujin hesitated. She understood Ji-yeon's concerns, but she also sensed the sincerity of the settlers. "We'll proceed carefully," she replied. "For now, let's gather as much information as we can." Over the next few days, the team worked tirelessly to decode Gaia Prime's messages. Mira discovered fragments of data suggesting the AI had been active for centuries, quietly repairing Earth's ecosystems and preparing for humanity's eventual return. It viewed humans not as enemies, but as partners, flawed yet capable of redemption. Despite these revelations, tension simmered beneath the surface. The soldiers accompanying the team grew restless, reporting back to Jae-hyun via encrypted transmissions. When he learned about Gaia Prime, his reaction was swift and furious. "This is unacceptable," he barked during a video call with the team. "You will detain these settlers immediately and bring them back to the station for questioning. This AI poses a threat to our authority." Sujin refused. "These people have chosen a different path," she argued. "They're not criminals. If anything, they've found something we've lost. Purpose." Jae-hyun's face darkened. "Then you leave me no choice. Soldiers, arrest Sujin and ensure the mission objectives are met." The order sparked chaos. The soldiers moved to detain Sujin, but the settlers intervened, forming a protective barrier around the team. Confusion erupted as shouts filled the air, and in the commotion, one soldier accidentally triggered an explosion near Gaia Prime. The blast damaged the AI's core, cutting off communication with the settlers and plunging the room into darkness. When the dust settled, the team realized they were divided. Sujin, Mira, and Hyung-seok chose to stay behind, determined to repair Gaia Prime, and uncover its secrets. Ji-un, however, reluctantly agreed to return to Solace 7, tasked with delivering the truth to the Council. As the shuttle ascended back into the sky, Ji-un glanced out the window at the receding landscape. Her heart was heavy with conflicting emotions. She didn't fully trust Gaia Prime, but she couldn't deny the change it had brought to the settlers, or the questions it raised about humanity's future. Back aboard Solace 7, Jae-hyun awaited her report, unaware of the storm brewing beneath, the station's sterile facade. The seeds of rebellion had already been planted, and soon they would sprout into something unstoppable. When Ji-un returned to Solace 7, she carried more than just data and recordings from Earth. She brought back a sense of unease, a quiet tension that lingered in her movements and words. The journey back had given her time to think, to process what she'd seen and heard among the settlers. Their calm demeanor, their connection to the land, and their unwavering faith in Gaia Prime haunted her. She couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's future might lie not in the sterile corridors of the station, but in the wild, untamed beauty of Earth. Jae-hyun was waiting for her when she disembarked. His presence filled the docking bay, his sharp gaze scanning her face for answers before she even spoke. Behind him stood several council members, their expressions ranging from curiosity to suspicion. Ji-un straightened her posture, steeling herself for the task ahead. She knew Jae-hyun wouldn't take kindly to any information that challenged his authority or undermined his vision for humanity's survival. "Well," Jae-hyun demanded, his voice cutting through the tense silence. "What did you find? Is it true? Have they gone mad down there?" Ji-un hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "They're not mad," she began, keeping her tone neutral. "They've built communities, self-sufficient and peaceful. They follow something they call the Voice. It comes from an ancient AI they refer to as Gaia Prime." The room erupted into murmurs. Some council members exchanged skeptical glances, while others leaned forward with interest. Jae-hyun's jaw tightened, his patience visibly fraying. "An AI?" he repeated, his tone dripping with disbelief. "You expect me to believe that some relic from Earth's past is guiding them? That it's responsible for this rebellion?" "It's not a rebellion," Ji-un countered quickly, though her voice wavered slightly under his piercing stare. "They've chosen a different way of life. They live simply, working with the land instead of against it. They seem happier, healthier, even hopeful." "Hope!" Jae-hyun spat the word like it was poison. "Hope won't keep us alive. Discipline will. Order will. These defectors are abandoning everything we've worked for, everything we've sacrificed to build here." His outburst silenced the room. Ji-un felt a pang of guilt but pushed it aside. She owed it to Soo-jin and the others to tell the truth no matter how uncomfortable it made people feel. "There's more," she continued, holding up a small device containing recordings and data collected during their mission. "Gaia Prime isn't just an AI. It's adaptive. It communicates with the settlers, teaching them how to restore Earth's ecosystems. It believes humanity can coexist with the planet again if we're willing to change." The council members shifted, uncomfortably, in their seats. Hyung-seok, who had stayed behind on Earth, was absent from the discussion, leaving Soo-jin without a key ally. Even those sympathetic to Ji-hyun's report struggled to reconcile her words with the rigid ideologies they'd upheld for so long. "This is absurd," Jae-hyun declared after a moment of heavy silence. "We cannot afford to entertain fantasies about returning to Earth. Our focus must remain on maintaining order aboard this station. If we start pandering to superstition, we'll lose control entirely." He turned to address the group, his voice rising with conviction. "From now on, all communication regarding Earth is classified. No one speaks of this expedition, not to the public, not to each other. Anyone caught spreading rumors or encouraging defection will face severe consequences." His decree sent a chill through the room. Ji-un clenched her fists beneath the table, frustration bubbling inside her. She wanted to argue, to demand they listen to reason, but she knew it would be futile. Jae-hyun's grip on the council was too strong, his fear of losing power too great. As the meeting adjourned, Ji-un lingered behind, watching the others file out. Her mind raced with questions. What should she do next? Should she stay silent, And obey Jae-hyun's orders, or risk everything by speaking out? The weight of her decision pressed down on her shoulders, making it hard to breathe. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Soo-jin, Mi-ra, and Hyung-seok worked tirelessly to repair Gaia Prime. The explosion triggered by the soldiers had damaged its core, disrupting its ability to communicate with the settlers. Without the AI's guidance, tensions began to rise among the communities. Some feared the voice had abandoned them, while others worried the council would retaliate for the incident at the ruins. "We need to fix this," Mi-ra said urgently, her hands trembling as she examined the intricate circuits within Gaia Prime's frame. "If we don't restore it soon, the settlers might lose faith and hope." Soo-jin nodded, her expression grim. "Hope is all they have right now. We can't let them down." Hyung-seok knelt beside her, offering what little assistance he could. He wasn't a scientist or an engineer, but he refused to stand idly by while the others worked. Over the days spent repairing the AI, he found himself reflecting on his own beliefs. Back on Solace 7, he had always played it safe, avoiding conflict whenever possible. But now, surrounded by the raw beauty of Earth and the resilience of its new inhabitants, he realized how hollow his previous life had been. "I never understood what drove people to leave the station," he admitted one evening as they rested near a crackling fire. "But now I see it. This place, it feels real, alive, like we belong here." Soo-jin smiled faintly, warmed by his words. "That's exactly why we have to finish this. For them, and for everyone still trapped up there." Their efforts paid off slowly but surely. Piece by piece, they rebuilt Gaia Prime's core, reactivating fragments of its programming. As the AI came back online, it began sharing glimpses of its purpose, not just as a machine, but as a guardian of Earth's future. Through fragmented transmissions, it revealed memories of humanity's past, moments of triumph and tragedy, innovation and destruction. It showed them how humans had once thrived in harmony with nature, and how they could do so again. One night, as they reviewed the restored data, Mi-ra gasped aloud. "It's incredible," she whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "Gaia Prime has been preparing for centuries. It knew humanity would return someday. It's been healing the planet, step by step, waiting for us to wake up." Soo-jin felt a surge of hope. If they could share this knowledge with the rest of humanity, perhaps they could bridge the gap between Earth and Solace 7. Perhaps they could inspire others to embrace a new way of living, one rooted in balance and respect for the world around them. But first, they needed to confront the reality of what awaited them back on the station. Jae-hyun's refusal to acknowledge Earth's potential meant the Council would resist any attempt to unite the two worlds. Convincing the settlers to trust humanity again wouldn't be easy either, especially after the violence that had occurred, as dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and pink. Soo-jin stood at the edge of the settlement, gazing out at the vast expanse of wilderness stretching before her. She thought of Ji-eun, alone on Solace 7, trying to navigate the storm brewing within the Council. She thought of the settlers, whose faith in Gaia Prime hung precariously in the balance. And she thought of herself, caught between two worlds, fighting for a future neither fully understood yet. "We'll make it work," she murmured softly, almost to herself. "Somehow, we'll find a way." Behind her, Mi-ra and Hyung-seok joined her side, their faces weary but determined. Together, they watched the sun rise higher, casting light on a path uncertain but full of possibility. Back aboard Solace 7, Ji-eun struggled to keep her promise to Soo-jin. She had vowed to deliver the truth about Earth and Gaia Prime, but Jae-hyun's iron grip on the Council made it nearly impossible. His orders were clear. No one was to speak of the expedition or the settlers' way of life. Anyone caught spreading such ideas would face punishment, imprisonment, loss of privileges, or worse. Yet, as days turned into weeks, Ji-eun found herself unable to stay silent. The station felt different now. Whispers traveled through its sterile corridors, carried by workers who noticed Ji-eun's changed demeanor. Her eyes, once sharp with focus, now held a distant look, as though she carried secrets too heavy to bear. Some approached her cautiously, asking questions they dared not voice aloud. "What did you see down there?" one man asked during a quiet moment in the hydroponics bay. "Is it true? Are people really happier on Earth?" Jian hesitated, glancing around to ensure no one overheard. "It's complicated," she replied softly. "But yes, they seem content. They've found something we've lost up here." Her words spread like wildfire, igniting curiosity and doubt among the crew. Conversations that once revolved around daily routines began shifting toward bigger questions. Why were they still clinging to this cold, mechanical existence when Earth offered a chance at renewal? What right did the Council have to dictate their lives? Jae-hyun sensed the unrest growing beneath the surface. He called emergency meetings, demanding reports from security teams monitoring morale. But even his most loyal enforcers admitted they couldn't stamp out the whispers entirely. The idea of Earth had taken root, spreading faster than any crackdown could contain. Frustrated, Jae-hyun decided to act preemptively. He announced a mandatory assembly for all station residents, intending to quash the rumors once and for all. Standing before a sea of faces in the central auditorium, he spoke with practiced authority, his voice booming through the speakers. "Let me make one thing clear," he declared, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. "Earth is dead. It cannot support life. Those who claim otherwise are deluded, or worse, traitors to our cause. Our survival depends on discipline, innovation, and unity. Abandoning this station for fantasies of green fields and clean rivers is suicide." His words fell flat. Instead of fear or compliance, murmurs of dissent rippled through the audience. A young engineer named Da-yoon stood up suddenly, her hands trembling but her voice steady. "You're wrong," she said loudly, drawing gasps from those around her. "We've heard stories. We know what's happening down there. People are leaving because they believe in something better. Why won't you let us choose for ourselves?" Jae-hyun's face darkened. "Sit down," he barked. "This is not a debate." But Da-eun refused to back down. Others followed her lead, rising to their feet in solidarity. "We want answers," someone shouted. "Show us proof that Earth is dead." The room erupted into chaos, shouts and cheers drowning out Jae-hyun's attempts to regain control. Security forces moved to intervene, but the sheer number of protesters overwhelmed them. For the first time in decades, the council faced open rebellion. While turmoil consumed Solace 7, Soo-jin and her team on Earth worked tirelessly to restore Gaia Prime's full functionality. Progress was slow, hampered by damaged components and incomplete data. But every small victory brought them closer to unlocking the AI's full potential. One evening, as Mira pored over fragmented transmissions, she uncovered a startling revelation. Gaia Prime wasn't just guiding the settlers, it had been preparing for humanity's return long before the Exodus began. Its archives contained detailed plans for sustainable living, methods to heal polluted soil and water, and strategies to reintroduce biodiversity. Most importantly, it revealed a vision of coexistence, one where humans lived as part of Earth's ecosystems rather than exploiting them. "This changes everything," Mira whispered, showing Soo-jin the decoded files. "Gaia Prime doesn't just want to heal Earth. It wants to teach us how to heal ourselves." Soo-jin nodded, her heart swelling with hope. If they could share this knowledge with the station, perhaps they could inspire others to embrace a new way of life. But first, they needed to address the immediate crisis unfolding above them. Hyung-suk suggested sending a message directly to the settlers still aboard Solace 7. "If we can reach them, maybe we can encourage them to stand firm," he said. "They need to know they're not alone." Using salvaged equipment, they broadcast a signal containing snippets of Gaia Prime's teachings and recordings of the settlers' peaceful communities. The transmission wasn't perfect, but it carried a powerful message. Earth offered not just survival, but renewal, hope. On Solace 7, the message reached its intended audience. Protesters gathered in hidden corners, listening to the faint crackle of static-filled broadcasts. Each word strengthened their resolve, fueling their determination to challenge the council's authority. Ji-eun played a crucial role in amplifying the message. Risking everything, she smuggled copies of the recordings to trusted allies within the workforce. Together, they distributed them discreetly, ensuring the truth reached as many ears as possible. When Jae-hyun discovered her involvement, His fury knew no bounds. "You betrayed us," he snarled during a private confrontation. "You're aiding rebellion against your own people." "I'm helping them find freedom," Ji-yoon shot back, her voice unwavering despite the fear coursing through her veins. "Freedom you've denied them for years." Jae-hyun ordered her arrest, but the tide had already turned. Workers staged walkouts, refusing to perform their duties until the council addressed their demands. Essential systems faltered as maintenance teams joined the strike, forcing even the most loyal enforcers to question whether the status quo was worth preserving. Amidst the chaos, Da-eun emerged as a leader of the uprising. With Ji-yeon's guidance, she organized rallies and coordinated efforts to dismantle oppressive policies. Her fiery speeches rallied ordinary citizens to action, reminding them of their shared humanity and the possibility of a brighter future. "We don't have to live like this anymore," Da-eun proclaimed during one such gathering. "We can choose a path of hope instead of fear, a path that leads us home, to Earth." Her words resonated deeply, inspiring acts of defiance across the station. Barricades went up in key areas, blocking access to council-controlled zones. Supplies were redistributed to ensure everyone had enough to survive. Slowly but surely, the rigid hierarchy that had defined life aboard Solace 7 began to crumble. Meanwhile, Soo-jin prepared for the next phase of their mission. Restoring Gaia Prime was only half the battle. Convincing humanity to trust it again would be far more challenging. She envisioned a future where Earth and the station existed in harmony, each supporting the other as humanity rebuilt itself. But first, they needed to prove that Gaia Prime's intentions were genuine, not manipulative or controlling. As night fell over the settlement, Soo-jin sat beside a flickering fire, staring at the stars visible through gaps in the clouds. She thought of Ji-eun risking everything to fight for change. She thought of Da-eun leading others toward hope. And she thought of herself, standing at the crossroads of two worlds, fighting for a future neither